everybody, it is Calxiyn and Hunter here, and we are reacting to RWBY Beyond, Episode 2, A Knight's Journal, which is all about Jaune. And before we get into it, I do have some things to talk about, because, okay, so basically, Hunter wasn't here. So I recorded my reaction by myself, and now Hunter needs to see the episode. So this is going to be very fascinating for all of us. I have no idea how exactly I'm going to edit these things together, but at the very least, you will see something, which is my reaction from the past and then Hunter's reaction from the present. And so I hope that you guys will enjoy, but I've already seen it, so I'm just gonna sit here quietly and then overlay my past self over my present self. It's gonna be a little strange.
This is like in movies where like people have to pet like CGI
yeah, exactly, basically.
There,
and then afterward, we will discuss the episode. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very good, and I'm very excited to talk about it because there's lots of little discussion points. But I guess, do you know anything?
I know it's a genre. I've very purposefully stayed off of Twitter and the such, just to avoid my knowledge of any of this. So I know it's a Jaune episode. I guess it takes place in the Ever After, because I literally saw a flash of the Ever After when we were loading up the episode. But other than that, no, I really don't know anything.
All right, so we are going to get into the reaction now. 3, 2, 1, press and play.
Oh. This is the very first entry in what I guess is about to become your journal.
Jaune therapy journal.
What you do when you want to keep your daily
Yeah, that's true. Also, I love seeing Vacuo. Oh my god.
Young and old and young again.
Oh my god.
It's not always easy.
That's interesting that they're doing that. Because
that's
he's an old man now.
Lost it for a little bit there.
Oh.
He's a different person.
Oh, I love this.
Things aren't the same. Ren and Nora.
Chasing after the boys.
Some like Vacuo stuff.
I love how that's just a cat shop.
I'm the rusted knight. Nora loves reminding people of that, by the way. They usually just look at her like it's some kind of inside joke they're not a part of. These days, I'd rather forget.
Oh.
I guess I was the rusted knight, but
I love it. This is so. I'm gonna cry.
Really me. Who is Jaune now? Lately, I've been spending more time with the person I thought might really most.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense!
God, he's such a baby.
How's that journal going?
Big eyes.
Haven't quite started yet.
Oh my goodness.
Soon, though.
That'll help.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like anything will. Don't get me wrong, I'm not unhappy to be back. I just feel out of place.
I did not expect to hear
left the world
Oscar's VA.
That's exactly what happened.
I know what that's like. I've been the subject of a couple of fairy tales myself.
Okay, so that must be...
You mean Osmond has?
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh no!
If you're not sure where to start, I do have a suggestion.
That's interesting that they're showing his blending with Osmond.
Oh.
What little they might have been that you spent in the Ever After.
Yeah.
Just focus on the positive.
Well,
no, not like that.
The voice acting is so it's so intimate feeling. It feels like I'm listening to like Oscar ASMR.
The good times.
It might be able to help you remember what it was all for.
Oh, I love this, and I love Oscar looks so nice, like, and how I just love the art style of the show so much.
The good times.
Oh.
I remember Alyx and Lewis.
Oh.
Those early days of getting to know each other were magical.
The babies! Oh my god.
Like I was living someone else's life. For me, the secret that I knew a little of what was happening to all of us was exciting. Lewis was a puzzle, since he wasn't part of the story I knew.
Oh!
He figured out really quickly that I knew more than I was letting on.
Oh, damn! I love this!
We compared notes on Remnant. Oh, they couldn't believe I was from the faraway future.
That's crazy! Oh my god!
I couldn't believe they were from Vacuo.
Wait, they were from Vacuo?
Before the war.
Oh, shit!
Okay.
That's interesting!
I remember the first time we tried to shop at the Garden Acre. They didn't have days of the week, so they invented one.
Oh.
Splatter Day, just for us humans.
That's cute.
You know, for a while, they ended up having Splatter Day every day
because
they didn't understand. But every Splatter Day, there was a farmer's market. Only, instead of buying produce, you bought farmers who would grow it for you.
Oh.
We would roast things by the fire every night.
This is so I
That's
love
so
this.
cute.
This is so cute.
It was those campfires I remember most.
I love how he's describing the nonsense
down
world
this
of the
journal.
ever after, and he
The
sounds
story
like a
he wanted to
lunatic.
tell, to help lead my friends to me.
Oh,
Oh, and in those early days, every night around the campfire, when I tell them my story,
oh my god, this is great. Like, I'm just,
oh, they always seemed so amazed.
like, actually speechless.
I
Which is
cheated
weird
into a
because
school.
It was just
It was crazy. You
Just
guys
my
don't
life.
have schools
Yeah.
mistakes I'd made. And the times I'd gotten lucky.
How I snuck into
like having
being.
yet. Gotten lucky, you say.
People around
Oh.
you who make
It's
you
inappropriate
feel,
stories to tell children,
Yeah.
Jaune.
Oh, I love that.
or maybe they see you in a way you can't see yourself. It's the
Oh,
same
son of a
kind
bitch.
warmth
They're gonna show
Oh.
Pyrrha, aren't they? I'm gonna cry.
Guys,
God
this
damn
is
it.
all
and
Pyrrha.
a good meal. I see those campfires all across Vacuo at night, and I wonder what people are sharing, what they're building. the
Oh,
hope they're
Miles, oh my
stoking.
god, I bet
They'll be saying
he
when
was
this is all
actually
over.
crying.
Yeah.
Like, not just because of Jaune, but just,
Wanted to eat
everything,
cheese in
you
the
know?
campfire with Pyrrha.
I guess maybe there's something
I mean,
to this
Miles is a
after
good
all.
actor, but I feel like that was
Perspective.
real, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Voice
Do you-
acting is really strong from Miles.
Do you think we're gonna make it?
Oh.
Around that campfire,
Oh God, it's her voice.
Oh.
Her giggle, her little Pyrrha giggle.
Man, what the fuck? I can't believe I'm watching this without Hunter
this is-
here. Oh my god. That was so good. Like I'm like kind of in shambles, like a little bit in shambles.
If you were gonna make it, well, I mean, you'd already fallen down. What kind of question is? Okay. Well,
Okay, so I think that we can probably rejoin with each other. This is gonna be very interesting for all of us to see what weird Frankenstein reaction is gonna come out of that. But oh man, yeah, I mean, what you said about the voice acting too, like it's
Miles
weird because
is
we
very
can't
good at
bounce
that.
off of each other,
Yeah.
right? But now we'll have our conversation. The voice acting, I said this on Twitter, but you know, as I have gone through musical theater school, I can tell, or at least I think I can, obviously, you know, I don't know. But to me, I don't think that Miles was really acting. Like, when they say, do you think that we're going to make it? I think Eddie actually replied to me on Twitter.
It almost felt
and
like
said,
I was in my
talking
head.
about the show.
Yeah, they're talking.
Like,
It's kind of
Miles
metatextual of
recorded
like.
it 2 days, I believe, Eddie said on Twitter, after they found out that the company was shutting down. So
Yeah.
you feel
It feels
right?
like it's because when it happened, I was thinking in my head like this seems like meta commentary. Like, does
Yeah.
it like and like did it matter? Like, did it when you were in the campfire, when you were watching the show, when it was
Yeah.
fun for you, when it was meaningful to you? Does it matter if it keeps going? Which is
Yeah.
like, I don't know if they intended for that, but it definitely hits.
Yeah.
Like it is broader commentary about the show.
Yeah.
RWBY.
And I imagine also working on it to some extent, like around
Yeah.
that campfire, working with all of your
Yeah.
friends and other creatives on this thing. I can only imagine, right? So I thought that the voice acting was just phenomenal. I was really surprised. So if you guys saw the exclusive video on Patreon, instead of talking about the episode, I spent 15 minutes trying to speculate on who I thought the other episodes were going to be about. And I didn't expect Aaron Dismuke to be there. However, he lives in Texas. So what I did was I drew a giant circle of voice actors that live in Texas that I could try to figure it out. But I guess we'll talk more about that later. We should probably focus on the episode for now. But I think that it's important to reiterate the fact that it seems like that they are, again, somebody like Kara doesn't have a voice acting booth, at least presumably
Yeah.
in their home. She only plays Weiss,
Yeah.
right? That's literally the only
Her
role that
only
she
role,
plays.
yeah.
I don't think
And
that
she plays it well.
She plays it fantastic.
But she's not like
but
an
she's not a
performer in the way
Yeah.
other people are, in the way Miles is.
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
it's-
And so we have to keep that in mind that they seem to be limiting it to people, but at the same time, how lucky it must have been to have
Yeah.
Oscar, somebody
Yeah.
that can relate to Jaune in this way, be played by someone that they could easily
Yeah.
get a hold of, right?
I will
Aaron
say
Dismuke.
it is because that was a thing that happened in RWBY that like people weren't really talking about. How it is sort of strange that Jaune is functionally like in his 40s now mentally because he's lived all those years.
The point was that he lived those years but didn't like
Age
actually emotionally mature.
Because he was stuck in a place, but he is like. Okay, so even if he's not actually a 40-year-old stuck in the body of a 19-year-old, like
you're messed up.
You're still messed up. You still feel, it's like that even the idea that you don't just feel 40, like straightforwardly 40 is itself representative of you being messed up.
And I do have some Jaune experts that I would like to consult.
The fact that they're really addressing that, it's like, he's a man out of time. He can no longer really... Which is my favorite trope in fiction is when...
You're not really either thing, right?
No, my favorite trope in fiction... Well, yeah, but my favorite trope, and one of my favorite tropes in fiction is when someone goes on the adventure and they come back and they're not the same and they can't really relate to other people.
Yeah.
Like Frodo, after he travels, across Middle-earth, when he comes back to the Shire, he can't reintegrate with the other hobbits. It's kind of the same way with Jaune. He's seen too much. He can't just he's having trouble reintegrating into the life he once had due to the extreme the extreme journey that he went on. It changed him fundamentally. I find that so compelling.
Okay, so I have found my Jaune expert. If you guys don't know...
Everyone needs a Jaune guy.
Gears of War, they love Jaune. They post a lot about Jaune. And so they made a thread that I would like to read because, I like Jaune too. It's just... if I wanted to talk about,
Jaune. We weren't like day one
if I wanted to talk about Blake, I would go to a Blake expert. You know what I mean? If I wanted to talk about Yang, I'd need a Yang consultant.
You are the Neo expert. So if you have any Neo needs, come to the Neo expert. So I think it only makes sense,
to see what people in the community are saying that really love and understand these characters better than we do, which happens quite frequently. We don't know everything. So the Rested Knight wasn't really me, who is Jaune. With Volume 9's focus on identity and perspective, the Rested Knight was his protective shield for him to avoid facing reality. Jaune pushed it away for years until he confronted it head-on when he saw Team RWBY again. Jaune's right that the Rested Knight wasn't really him because he used that identity as a facade to keep his own mental state intact and make sense of his situation. It's ironic how Jaune had so much, yet so little time to reflect because he spent so much of it in avoidance. Now that the mask is off, both literally and metaphorically with his helmet, Jaune still faces the dilemma of who he is and feels lost even after confronting his reality. But that's okay not to know yet, because he didn't leave the EA empty-handed, he gained perspective. I think the bigger picture is realizing that growing up is a long process, and you're not meant to know who you are right away. Jaune has time to figure it out. Jaune doesn't have to fit into the hero narrative that his ancestors had. He can define his own path in time. And then Gear tagged me in the post. And yeah, I thought that was a very interesting perspective, especially because... In a sense, Jaune got to, play another role. You would say, he got to be... It's funny how he cheats his way in a beacon, he wants to be this hero, and then the Rested Knight comes in, and technically, he can now be the perfect hero and act in a capacity of perfection. But that perfection is the very thing that caused him to not be able to grow as a person. Yes. It's like the constant status quo and the perfection that he maintained with the paper pleasers was in itself very stifling. Mm-hmm. So I found that perspective very interesting, and I just find it interesting how I like that they almost subverted, because something that really bugs me in children's media, and a lot of media does this, right? But you have this, just focus on the positive, Yeah. That's something that a lot of kids stuff falls into,
that's
right?
Just how people are, generally.
Oh, yeah, of course. But
people
I like Oscar being like, no, that's not exactly what I mean. And so I like the balance of that it's not, just focus on the positive stuff. It's exploring what those moments meant to you, right? It's not just focus on the positive and ignore the negative things that happen. It's that the negative things that happened were not in isolation, and we see Jaune's moments again with Alyx and Lewis, and I think that there was something that somebody else tweeted, which I thought that it was interesting, which I can't exactly remember, but it was more wondering if we'll ever find out what really pushed Alyx and Lewis over the edge, or I guess just Alyx, right? Because Alyx has this very drastic personality change, but when you see her in these moments with with Jaune, they all seem very happy. So I feel like that there's still definitely, I don't know if we'll ever find out, but I think that there's still some theorizing material also in regards to that, because I guess you could just say that the cat made Alyx paranoid. I'm sure that that's the conclusion that a lot of people are going to come to.
Was it the caterpillar?
Well, both. Like that she had the dream with the herbalist, and then the cat kind of used her weakness to, I think, maybe manipulate her into hurting Jaune. But it's, it was it's crazy just to see them all so happy in the past, and then remember Volume 9 and know what happened. But what's also interesting about Volume 9 is that Jaune is an unreliable narrator, right? And so you see Alyx with her evil expression, but that could have just been Jaune being bitter. We don't really know, right? It's all from Jaune's perspective, so we don't really know what the truth was or what caused her to change,
I do like more of the cute moments of the Ever After's weirdness about the splatter day.
Yeah, that was cute.
And in the farmer's market, you buy farmers. Like, that's very cute. I like that little fun detail. I like how when Jaune was describing it, it sounded like he was like just describing a dream.
Yeah, I know.
You always sound like befuddled, and it's like, this is stupid, but I feel the need to tell you about my dream. I'm sorry in advance.
I think I'd like to just play it again.
But I was buying farmers.
Speed.
I don't know.
I think the journal is good. Also, I love being able to see Vacuo all of the time. Let me just say, it fills me with such joy because I know that it's 2D and it's not,
I will
the 3D
say that
set.
the pyramid looks different here than it does in the end of Volume 9.
A little bit, but not too much. I feel like that this just has maybe more detail than the mat did because you saw it in the distance. Yeah. But it was never pointy. It was always square.
I know that, but all the different it's just maybe it's the details, or maybe it's just it's a different kind of.
But I just love, I don't know, I just love seeing Vacuo, man. He's so emotional. I just love it. Oh, okay, so what I wanted to talk about, first of all, was I love
Ren Naruto
running. But also,
I didn't even notice that.
What is happening back here?
There's just
I've been thinking about this all week, by the way.
Yeah.
I saw this episode and I'm so desperate to actually analyze this with Hunter because what is this? I guess it's just an art store, right? Because it's pottery, but it's all cats. And I love how it says, what's going on? I don't know. I thought that was such a weird little detail. I love just the world.
Why are you buying clothes at the cat store?
I was like, what is going on back here? But I love the statues.
Yeah, look at how happy she's
I wonder if they're made of dust. I don't know, because this has a very water-like effect to it, and then this one has kind of a glowing eye. I don't know. I just love this
how
shit.
that I guess dog cat faunus is so excited to buy their little cats. They're like,
yeah. Well, I thought that they had an apron on, so maybe they were working, but it's hard to sort of tell. Oh no, because this is a clerk over here, so I think this person's like, I know this is the good shit, right?
They better reference that. If we get another E.C. Myers RWBY book, I need reference to the cat store.
I know, but I just love that. First of all, it's addressing the fact that Ren and Nora are working through their own shit, and then also that Jaune is working through his shit as well. That was a really nice shot, the side-by-side. And I love how Nora, it's just so in character for her, because I'm sure that they are still thoroughly traumatized by the fact that Jaune came back from the dead, and that is something that they're going to work through in the actual show, right? But just this idea that I feel like Nora's kind of trying to cope with this by putting on a front, he's the Rusted Knight, our team leader's so cool. I feel like that's very in character for her, and so we get some nice character details. I'm glad Ren is happy, that it's that they're having fun. Also, the same banana store that we saw in. I'm assuming it's an ice cream shop, but it could just be fruit based on this poster.
Banana stand.
Yeah, I know you have this inside joke that I don't understand, but I like this idea that he was the Rusted Knight, but the Rusted Knight was not Jaune.
Yeah.
He became the person in the story that Lewis wrote, and it became this weird self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I feel like that we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Oscar. I feel like that the blend, as you said, and I don't think I picked this up in my reaction, but I don't quite remember.
That it was Ozpin or Ozma speaking.
It's getting a little murky, right?
Yeah.
It's a little concerning. About whether
we're both teenage boys that are way older than we should be for teenage boys. I like that they have that in common.
Yeah.
They're weird. They're people out of place, out of time.
Also, I'm assuming that this means that Ozpin does not know anything about Lewis and Alyx, because there was this theory that, do you remember that we had this theory that
had a lot of
they
theories.
were one of Ozpin's incarnation's children, and that they accidentally magicked themselves into the void, right?
I bet you Ozpin has had so many kids that he's like, man,
I know, but he doesn't seem to know any, like, he doesn't mention anything, and then even in the epilogue, he's trying to look through books to find out where Team RWBY went, so clearly he doesn't already know about it. So I feel like, I don't know if RWBY Beyond is going to answer this, but I'll die kind of mad if we never found out how Lewis and Alyx fell into the void, right? I'll be a little angry.
I kind of enjoy the mystery of it. Okay.
I hate mystery. Tell me everything.
People relate to
I know, I'm just kidding, Hunter. I'm just kidding around.
I know. But like, yeah, some people are like, explain every fucking detail of your world to me.
Well, I have a feeling, though, that there's something that they mentioned in this could be the answer, which is that they say that Alyx and Lewis were from Vacuo before the war. What happened during the war? All of the relics were out of the vault and the King of Vale was just flinging them around. So it's very possible that the King of Vale could have accidentally made a hole in the ground, and that wouldn't be so out of place, right? You know? By accident, you know? And so, but Ozpin was the King of Vale, so that's what I don't understand, unless it was because the Relic of Creation, would it have been in Atlas? I don't know. But what I'm saying is that I feel like that's important information, that it happened before the war, because the other thing that was happening before the war is that the relics were just out and about, apparently, right? They weren't locked up or anything like that.
Also, he looks so baby here.
I love this art style. I know that this is so controversial, but I wouldn't hate if going forward, the show was in this art style, and then only the combat was in 3D. I know that would be a very big shift. I don't care. I would love it.
So
I think
jarring.
they look better, okay? I'm sorry. It's not that RWBY looks bad, but their facial expressions are just they're so much more expressive in 2D. Their hair looks better in 2D. Their hair is fluffier in 2D. So I'm just a little biased, okay? I love how you're
disagree.
like, everyone hated that. They're throwing the tomatoes at you. Why did I come back home? But I just, like, he's so cute.
Oh, he's
never that cute in the show. I'm sorry.
But also, different art styles are better for different things.
I understand, but maybe,
and also
I don't know.
You can also put more, like, when you have one frame, like, there's not that much animation in this animation. But I just find it so... So you can put more details in the...
I don't know. I just find it so much more... I guess just because, again, with 3D, there's kind of limitations in terms of facial expression sometimes. So I just... Like, look at his big eye. I don't know. And, like, even John's subtle eyebrow, and John's eyebrows are also thicker. I think that's the other thing, is that the eyebrows are very thick in this art style compared to regular RWBY, where they're, like, paper thin, and so that also helps with expression. I don't know, I'm just saying. But I love it. I know I'm the only person that feels that way, by the way, but, like, I don't care. Come for me if you want. But yeah, I love the little pumpkin patch back here. I love this idea that, like, Jaune knew Alyx, but then it's like, who the fuck are you, bestie? I love that, like, them figuring out it really
Lewis
quickly.
Is a little more quiet,
I love Lewis's notes. I want to talk about whether or not Lewis could still be alive, because he wrote the book. He lived in Vacuo. He was a kid during the Great War. The Great War was 80 years ago. Like, he might be 90, but he could still be alive.
Okay, so, like, how old would he be here?
Let's say he's 14.
So if he's 14...
80 years, he's 94.
And he's 80 years ago. Well, 80 years at the beginning of RWBY, which was, like, 4 or 5... So... He would have to be in his early 100s.
That's okay.
Or no, okay, so 14 plus 80.
But it's also possible
4.
the blacksmith sent him to a different time.
He would be.
They could have sent him after the war, not exactly the same time period that he lived in, right?
He would still be 98 years old.
That's okay. Why would they make it like, oh, they're from Vacuo and establish all this timeline if we're not gonna see him? I don't know. Or like a descendant of his. I just feel, I don't know.
Maybe we see a really, really old man
Yeah, and that's okay. He can be
Dressed
old. I don't know.
funky with
But
his
yeah,
little circular
you'll
glasses.
also notice that his style of dress
does not feel like Vacuo as we understand it. now.
well, no, but you know who does wear clothes like this? Theodore.
Oh.
And I don't think that they're related or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But it's interesting, isn't it, that Theodore seems to have a more classic, I don't know, I wouldn't say Lolita, because that's not the right word, but
Maybe
you know
there's,
how,
like,
Japan fashion, you have all these people that dress in, like, Victorian Gothic? That's how I feel about Theodore, because Theodore has the same pants and then the same sort of, like, vest button-up type situation. It's not exactly the same, but yeah, I don't know. It just it struck me
I feel
as
like
something.
It's one of those things where, like, culture changes over time.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, maybe slightly older Vacuo people dress like that, where younger people dress like Fox and Sun.
Yeah, or
you know?
it could even be in the city versus in the tribe. It
Yeah,
could be a
that's
divide
true.
like that
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. And
Maybe
so,
they
yeah,
were slightly,
I just thought,
maybe, I mean, they're dressed very nicely, so
Yeah.
maybe they're slightly better off.
rich.
Maybe they're, like, aristocratic.
You know what would be
What if
crazy?
they're- what if
they were the crown?
Maybe.
Like, what if they were the
We're wealthy?
royalty? I know that
Maybe.
this is gonna let me cook for a second. I know that this is pretty wild, but okay. So the entire point of RWBY.
Do you need your,
Yeah.
yes.
So the entire point of RWBY before the dawn, this is the pointer I use on my second channel, by the way, is that, like, Jax and the other one think that they are
Jill?
Jack and Jill, they think that they're the crown, right? They
Yes.
think they're descendants from the royalty. But I'm pretty sure the thing in the book, I may be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure it was, like, that they're not. That it's just bullshit. Like, it's just, they have a birthmark, but it's not true. Like, the birthmark is manufactured. I'm pretty sure it was a lie. So what if what happened was that Alyx and Lewis were the prince and princess of Vacuo, and the Vacuo people, like, their parents, right, sent them away using the relic of creation in order to ensure their safety in some capacity. And that's why they have nicer clothes. You even have something like, Alyx looks like she has a gold clip, right?
Yes.
Like, it's kind of like, it's giving expensive, you know what I mean? So maybe that's
They could
why.
be better off.
Maybe that's why they never explained to Jaune kind of who they really were or anything like that, like, because it was supposed to be a secret. And, right, Jack and Jill are twins. We don't know about Alyx and Lewis, but that would be a nice parallel going into Volume 10, this idea that you have the fake descendants of the throne, right? But then they were the real descendants all along, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe weird, but
it's yeah, I don't know. There could be a couple things. What if, like, it's before the Great War, but what if their parents were, like, I don't know, interlopers isn't the correct word for it, but, like, it would be amusing if, like, yeah, our parents were, like, the Vacuo people that sold out to Vale.
Well,
to
Vale
Atlas.
was fighting with
I know.
them.
So I meant to say
Oh,
Atlas.
I see.
Like, what if, like, yeah, we have money because we sold out to Atlas.
Oh,
that would be amusing.
That's a sadder interpretation.
Yeah, it would be.
But it could have also been, okay, we will sell out to Atlas, and then in exchange they send our kids away to safety during the war.
I don't know, because like
crazy.
in every conquest there are members of the conquered that, you know, join in the fun, so to speak.
Because I'm like,
that would be a darker interpretation.
From Vacuo. They're setting all of this up. They cannot leave us in the darkness about, I don't even need to know how, I need to know why. Do you know what I mean? I don't even need to know the specifics of how they got here. I'm just
it would be interesting
like,
if,
why?
like, if the headmaster, like, looks to Jaune, I'm like, so you met my grandfather. Like,
yeah,
something
or
like that.
I mean,
you know?
Some people did theorize that Theodore is related to them somehow. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but what I do like about that idea is that when you think about it, Alyx and Dorothy, Alice and Dorothy are fairy tale characters that have kind of a common thread with each other in terms of, I don't know, like literature, if that makes sense. And so it's not the most weird thing that Theodore, who is based on Dorothy, would be related to Alice, as in Alice in Wonderland, right? Because they're fairy tales with some connective tissue in terms of inspiring each other's existence.
They did?
In a sense. I mean, I don't know which one came first.
I believe Alice in Wonderland came first.
But again, the idea of like the girl in the blue dress, right,
they
going into a magical
weirdly, they
world,
are
like,
very
they have
similar.
some similar interconnected tissue, and then also Alex
American,
and Lewis also
British.
wear blue, right? Like Dorothy. So I don't know. I'm just saying that it's not explicit. It's not like the guy that wrote Wizard of Oz was like, yo, yeah, I love that. I think. I don't know. But just in terms of like, as we see, from what I learned in my fairy tale class, as we see certain trends emerge throughout history, right? It's like these things were kind of influenced by the existence of each other, right? And so, yeah, I love like this, that the campfire, like Lewis is writing everything down. And so he wrote the story so Team RWBY would know the story, right? And so we have this
Which is a
sort
weird
of,
chicken for the egg thing.
like a time loop situation. But I
imagine when he gets out and he's like, I need to publish this book. And you're explaining to the publisher, like, no, you don't understand. In a couple decades, there will be 4 girls, and they will need this, or else they will get stuck in an alternative dimension, and we will all be murdered by a woman who existed in a world before. Like, you sound like a lunatic.
But I just love this shot, because you have the way that they reminded him of being with their friends. Someone on Twitter also posted, like, is it not fucked up that Jaune spent more time in the Ever After with the Paper Pleasers than with Pyrrha? Or just that Pyrrha only got a year with her team. Like, Jaune probably spent more time with Lewis.
That is
you
crazy,
know what I mean?
Where it's like, when the more you think about it, the more you realize, Jaune, you knew her for a year.
Yeah,
like,
but it was important.
It was an important year, but
like, it's crazy a little.
Yeah, the more you think
crazy
about it, the more it's like, no, the period where Jaune's life, where Jaune was with Pyrrha, was a very important, you know, he became who he was. But this just gets me. Like, the idea that there's campfires everywhere in Vacuo, and I got chills, and we're not even listening to it. We're just going everyone
through it
has
quickly,
reasons to fight. Like,
everybody has their own story. Like, that just, that really just got to me. And, like, I'm so sure that Miles's voice acting, like, really, you know, came from a real place. I think what they meant, do you think we're going to make it in this context? That was the one thing where I'm like, does it matter? Because it makes sense if you're being meta and you're like, oh, they're in RWBY having a conversation about RWBY. Then that makes sense. In real life, no, it does kind of matter if you guys win, because then the world will fucking end. Like, well, I think that what they meant...
Like, I'm glad that the real adventure was the friends you made. Do you think that we are going to win
against Salem?
Yeah.
But I think that what Oscar is saying is that is something that is not necessarily within their control. Like, it is in the sense that they are fighting for it, but that them fighting for humanity matters more whether they win or lose. You know? Because, it would suck if the world was wiped out, but they have to try. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's what it meant. It's not like, who cares if Salem, like, you know, around the campfire, does it matter if Salem's gonna kill us all? Like, obviously it does. But I just interpreted that Salem is going to kill us anyway. So we should still try, right?
Or,
to find some sort of joy.
The fact that we may win or lose at this does not affect
this
being
moment
in the campfire, still caring
and
about
like their humanity.
Because the reason why you're fighting is because you care about these people. Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I think.
Because in my head, I'm like, no, it does matter. It does matter.
It matters. It matters. It matters.
It actually matters. You can make an argument that nothing else matters quite as much.
But I think that the idea is. But it's because the moments around the campfire matter more that you are fighting. Yeah. Because it's not enough to fight. What are we actually fighting for, too, as well? And so that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, it's still, like, those connections matter even if we're all, like, we might not make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
And the connections are the reason why we need to make it.
Yes.
That more than anything, right? And so I really enjoyed that. But now that we're at the end of our kind of review and discussion about, I hit on basically everything I wanted, which was the fact that Ozpin and Oscar are definitely becoming closer together than further apart. The stuff about Jaune, obviously, very emotional. Just the world building things in the background, like with the cat store. I guess it was just the cat store. In hindsight, I thought that was a bit more.
No, not the stuff revealed about the Ever After and about how they're from Vacuo, Lewis and Alyx.
So this will probably be released on either Thursday or Friday, which means we only have one more day. Like, we're running out of time to do some predictions. So I would like to present